G'day everyone and welcome to our next instalment as part of our International Year of the Reef celebrations. I'm Fred Nucifora and today I'm joined by the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority's Chief Scientist, Dr. David Wachenfeld, and Britta Schaffelke from the Australian Institute of Marine Science. Britta is the Program Director of the Healthy and Resilient Great Barrier Reef Program. So welcome Dr. Dave and Dr. Britta. I think we'll just go with that.
Sounds good.
The theme for National Science Week is game changers and change makers, and I think both of you and the work that you do contribute to that theme significantly. And so Britta, I might start with you and talk a little bit about the research that is conducted at the Australian Institute of Marine Science. Britta, can you tell us a little bit about the monitoring that AIMS does for the Great Barrier Reef?
So Fred, we do a lot of monitoring on the reef. We actually have weather stations, we monitor the water quality, we track actually the movements of sharks, but we're probably best known for our monitoring of coral reefs in the Great Barrier Reef. We've done that for more than 30 years now, and it's really important to have that long-term view on the reef to see what's going on. And I think that's really in line with the topic of Science Week. It's all about change. Do we understand change, and what do we do about it when we do understand it?
So you mentioned there that the Australian Institute of Marine Science, we might just say AIMS, has a long and proud history of monitoring coral reefs. Tell us a little bit about coral cover and how assessing that and monitoring that gives us indications of what's happening on the Great Barrier Reef.
So coral cover is really how much coral there is on the reef, and that's kind of globally the most important indicator that around the world people use and measure. It's a relatively simple thing to measure, and it gives us an indication of the health of the reef. So if you go out on a reef and you see a reef with high coral cover, you can be pretty sure it's in good condition. If you see a reef that has low coral cover, that doesn't necessarily mean it's in bad condition. So then we need to look a bit deeper of what has happened to that reef. So was it hit by a cyclone? Was it hit by coral bleaching? And so on. So coral cover is a simple but fairly useful measure. Yeah.
And so all of that science, David, feeds into the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority. I'm probably going to preempt to something that you're going to say, and that we use the best available science to inform our management decisions. Can you tell us a little bit about why that science is important to us as the managers of the Great Barrier Reef?
Fred, the science is the underpinning foundation of all our management here for the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, and since the 1980s, AIMS and the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority have worked very closely together to make sure that the best available science feeds in to help our management decisions be as good as they can possibly be. So a few examples of that, one of them going back a bit into history. In 2004, we put in place the current zoning plan for the Great Barrier Reef, which is really the foundation of our protection of the biodiversity of the marine park. And a lot of the particularly coral and fish information that helped us to get that zoning right came from AIMS. More recently, we've come to the realization that pollution is a huge problem on the reef. So we've got water quality that is degraded because of human activity in the catchment of the Great Barrier Reef. AIMS are out there monitoring not only the water quality itself, so the nutrients and sediments in the water, but also how that water quality affects the coral communities of the Great Barrier Reef. So they're helping us both to understand the nature of the problem, but also whether or not the solutions that we're implementing on the land are working out there for the ecosystem health of the Great Barrier Reef. And then the last example I might give is with climate change. So the climate of the world is changing, and that means the weather on the Great Barrier Reef is changing. We're seeing extreme heat waves that are definitely caused by climate change. We've seen 10 severe category cyclones since 2005, a whole series of record-breaking floods between 2009 and 2012. All of that weather is really changing the dynamic of what happens on the Great Barrier Reef. When we get impacts to coral reefs, we see them bigger than we've ever seen them before. AIMS helps us both monitor what those impacts are, but also the recovery, so that we can keep a track of the long-term health of the reef.
Yeah. Dr. David Wachenfeld, Dr. Britta, Schaffelke, thank you very much for today. And I've got to get you to do one more thing for me. It's a little thing I like to do, okay? Now, we all know the hashtag bit. Get our 2 fingers, hashtagging, all right? Hashtags up, come on, 2 fingers up, hashtag, looking at the camera. Hashtag love the reef.
Hashtag love the reef.
Hashtag love the reef. Thanks everyone, have a great Science Week.